So hello everyone, you're all very welcome. Thank you very much to those of you who have joined us here live today at 1 o'clock on 24th of June. Thanks very much also to everybody who's watching the recording of this session. You're all very welcome as well. My name is Kieran O'Leary. I'm the Head of Teaching and Learning here in the Faculty of Computing, Digital and Data in TU Dublin. And I'm joined by several colleagues here today as well. Actually just move on. I'm joined by Linda Young and Dylan Payne, who are from our admissions office. I'm joined by Barry Feeney, Geraldine Gray, Carl Sullivan, and Brian Gillespie, who are academic staff here in the faculty. And most importantly, I'm joined by three former students of ours, by Lauren Lamb, Jessie Osuji, and Sarah Egan, who are going to talk to you about their experience of being students here in TU Dublin. And that really is the main point of today. It's to give you, as young students who are applying to attend our programs here in TU Dublin, an opportunity to hear from students who have been through our programs and who have graduated and are going on into what I'm sure will be very successful careers. So if any of you do have questions throughout the session, please do put them into chat. We've lots of people who'll be answering questions, and Linda has just put a note there to say that she'll be answering questions throughout. Linda will also be able to highlight any questions that are going in and be able to bring them into general discussion. So please, if you have any questions at all, please do put them into chat. But we'll just ask people to please stay on mute just while we're going through the session. So I'm going to start with a few slides. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but there are some things that it's important that you know before we start the general discussion. And the first thing it's important to know is that if you come to study computing or mathematics with us here in TU Dublin, you'll be based on one of three campuses. So you could be based on Grangegorman, which is in the inner city, the city centre of Dublin. It's about a 15-minute walk maybe from O'Connell Street, 15 or 20-minute walk from O'Connell Street. So very, very central in Dublin. You could be studying on the Tallaght campus, which is on the Lewis Red Line. It's in South Dublin and very easily accessible through public transport. Or you could be located in the Blanchardstown campus, which is in West Dublin. And again, very accessible through lots and lots of bus routes and close to, say, the Blanchardstown shopping centre that many of you will be familiar with. Computing, digital and data, that's our overall umbrella for all the programs that we offer in computing and mathematics here in TU Dublin. Collectively, we're one of the largest, in fact, we are probably the largest provider of graduates in this area in the country. We have a huge number of students and we have a huge number of graduates every year. We've state-of-the-art campuses. You've seen the picture of our Grangegorman, Tallaght and Blanchardstown campuses there. A lot of these campuses and a lot of parts of them are very, very recently developed, and all of them are maintained to the very highest standards. One of the things that characterises us in TU Dublin is the connection that we have with our students. Relatively speaking, we have smaller classes. We're very much a student focus in what we do. The lecturers will get to know your name in a lot of cases and spend a lot of time with you. And that's a really, really important thing for us. We have expert staff, people who are really leading within their profession, very much experts in areas like data science, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, a whole range of different areas. And you'll get an opportunity to learn from those staff. And importantly, we have very, very strong connections with industry. And perhaps from our graduates who are here today, you'll hear a little bit about maybe when they went on into employment or when they went on work placement and how that worked out for them. And that is something that's very important for us, that we provide our students with the skill set to be really, really effective when they go on into industry and pursue very meaningful and productive careers. So why do people study computing, digital and data? And it is important that you recognize that there are job opportunities, and there certainly are. There are wonderful careers that are available to graduates in these areas. But it's important also to recognize that this is an opportunity for you to express your creativity. And people may not think of our areas when they think of creativity, but we certainly do. So from first year, you'll be learning the skills, to develop new software, to develop websites, to develop apps, to develop computer programs. And that means that you can go all the way from having an idea to actually realizing or implementing something that can have a very, very positive impact on your own personal life or on other people's lives or on the world in a greater sense. So you will have that skill set to make things happen. So it's not just about coming up with an idea and exploring those ideas, but it's about actually making them happen. And I think that's what's central to creativity. And that's why our disciplines are very, very creative disciplines. And that's a lot of the focus of what we do in TU Dublin, enabling you to develop software to solve real world problems. And obviously there are lots of other things on the screen there, an opportunity to travel the world, with a computing degree or a mathematics degree. These are skill sets that are very, very much in demand all around the world. But look, there are lots of employment opportunities, and it's important that we see how significant a player Ireland is in the global technology industry. With 9 of the world's top 10 software companies being based in Ireland, and many, many of these being located very close to us in Dublin, with huge annual exports and very large numbers of people directly employed, and a well-recognized skill shortage, you can be certain that there will be opportunities for you within the tech industry when you graduate. That industry placement, which is offered to our students, helps prepare you to move on into industry. And if you're interested in moving beyond Ireland when you graduate, that there are lots of international exchange opportunities available within our programs to help prepare you for that. It is very much a global industry that you'll become part of as a graduate when you move on into employment. The project work that we do within our programs, again, these are opportunities for you to express your creativity. And we have a few examples which are shown on screen here. These are people who, I suppose, come up with an idea and then implement a project to solve that idea and are very successful in doing so. All of you, when you get to your final year, you'll complete a single large project that we often refer to as the capstone project, because it brings together everything that you've done before that and gives you that one opportunity to say, okay, this is what I'm going to use my combined skill set that I've developed over many years to develop. So there's a few really good examples there. Deirdre Core's project from a few years ago, which was about sleep apnea detection. So software to detect what is a very serious medical condition, and software that has the potential to save people's lives if you're able to detect this particular condition. Tomas Higdon's work on emotion detection and keyboard typing, the distinctiveness of how people touch keyboards and keys and how they type, and that can be used to infer their emotions at any particular time. Alan Haverty, another example, came up with an idea for a commercial food ordering app and was able to bring that into reality. So it's important that you see that project work is central to what we do here in Dublin, in TU Dublin, central to preparing you for your career. But what will first year be like? So when you come into us at the start of first year, some of you will have learned how to program before. Many of you won't have learned how to program before, and that's absolutely fine, because we teach programming from the very beginning of our program, and we don't make any assumptions about what you will have done previously. You'll do mathematics, but very focused mathematics tailored to the type of skill set you'll need within your studies. Algorithms, which is a way of defining problem solving and presenting it in such a way that it can be implemented by a computer. Communications, because of the importance of for all professionals within the ICT industry to be able to work together in teams and communicate with each other. Computer architecture, about how your computer is built, and operating systems, about the software running upon it, and then web development as well. So these are the types of modules that you'll do in first year. It'll be a very exciting time of your life where you develop new skills and you start applying those skills to those real problems that we spoke about. But look, sometimes some people struggle with mathematics or with computing modules. We're delighted in TU Dublin to have a mathematics learning centre, which is a free support service that if you ever struggle with your mathematics, you can drop into the Maths Learning Centre and there'll be someone there to help you. If you struggle with any of your computing modules, we have a computing learning centre where you can drop in and people will help you there as well. We have very much a student focus and we want to make sure that you have all the academic support that you're going to need to be successful in your programme. And these two centres are very much part of that. So what programmes do we offer? We have a list, and a lengthy list at that, of programmes on the CAO, both at level 8 and at level 6-7. I'm not going to go through them all. You can see them listed there. You can see we have programmes on different campuses. There are CAO points for each of our programmes, and obviously, as you know, the CAO points are a reflection of demand, not a reflection of difficulty or quality or anything like that. All of our programmes produce really, really high quality graduates with excellent degrees. But you can see the difference in emphasis across some of our programs. A question we're often asked is, well, what's the difference between, say, TU 856 and TU 858 or TU 860? And the difference is emphasis, because each of these programs will provide you with an excellent skill set in all the core areas of computing. But then if you perhaps go down the data science or artificial intelligence route, you'll do some more modules in that area, maybe more of your project work in that area. If you go down the digital forensics and cybersecurity route, you'll still have excellent computing skills, but you'll have done more work in that area. But none of these programs will prevent you from going into any area of specialization later on in your career. Our mathematical sciences degree obviously has a very strong emphasis on mathematics, but also has a very general set of skills that will be applicable in a broad range of areas. And at level 6 and 7, you can see the programs that we have there. And from each of these programs, you will have an opportunity to progress on to level 8, if that's something that you're interested in. We also have the Learn and Work program, which is listed there on our Blanchardstown campus, which has a direct entry route. So that's our list of programs. You be pleased to hear you don't have to listen to me for much longer, because we've got something far more interesting and far more exciting for you to listen to, and that's our students and our graduates who'll be able to talk to you about what their experiences were with us here in TU Dublin. So I'm absolutely delighted to say that we have Lauren Lamb with us, who's a graduate from our Tala campus, Jessie Osuji with us, who is a graduate from our Blanchardstown campus, and Sarah Egan, who's a graduate with us from our Grangecorman campus. I'd strongly encourage people to put questions into chat. If you do have any questions for our graduates about their experiences, please do put them into chat, because they'd be delighted to answer those questions for you. I'm just going to start by asking the first question to each of our graduates, and that is, can you just tell us a little bit about your time in TU Dublin? So I might start with Lauren, because you're first on my screen. So I'll go from Lauren to Jessie to Sarah, if that's okay. So Lauren, starting with you, can you just tell us a little bit about your story in TU Dublin, please?
Sure. So I started in TUD Tala campus in 2019 to study a Bachelor's of Science honours degree in Computing with Software Development. So it was a 4-year level 8 course. As a mature student, I suppose it was a bit different than your typical just out of school CAO route. So yeah, it was a bit of a different experience for me, but I made friends with plenty of students who had just came from secondary school through the CAO. So I know what their experiences were like as well. But I suppose for me, a big aspect of when I was in TUD was COVID. So COVID struck when I was in my second semester of first year and lasted till my third year in TUD. So I had a good mix of obviously my remote section through COVID and then back in person for fourth year. It was I had an amazing time in TUD. I met loads of great people. My peers, the lecturers were always supportive, especially when it went remote and it was online. There was always someone I could reach out to if I was struggling, because I had 2 young kids at the time. So it was a different kind of balance for me at the time. But I've had a great experience with TUD and all the lecturers.
Thanks very much, Lauren, for that. Jessie, I'll go to you next, please.
Yeah, so I'm Jesse. So I studied a level 8 in computing, information technology over at Blanchardstown. It was a level 8 degree, so it was the typical 4 years. So similarly to Lauren, I actually joined during the COVID year, 2020. So my entire first year was completely online, completely remote. And then around half of the second year was the first semester of the second year. A lot of it was remote as well. So coming into second semester of the second year, it was as if you were coming in newly, because you really didn't know much people at the time because it was all online. But luckily enough, there were still some online forums where the students were able to chat even during COVID. So coming into the second year, I was able to mix in quite quickly with the students and the lecturers because they were very inviting, very friendly. So it was very easy to get going, even though it was we basically had not seen each other for the first year and a half. But everything went well, went smoothly, and the lecturers we're always there to help. But another thing about my experience there is that there's a lot of facilities over in the Blanchetown campus, at least. A lot of facilities there, such as the library. You can go there to study at any time, and also borrow books. Lots of books there for study, and also there's a gym over there. So if you need to get a workout in, sure, there's a gym there. So there's lots of facilities there to help you with it, very various aspects of your studies and also life. So yeah, I totally enjoyed my experience.
Thanks very much, Jesse. I'll go over to Sarah next, please.
Great, thank you, Kieran. So my name is Sarah and I studied Computer Science International on the Grange Gorman campus. When I first started, I actually had no experience with programming or computers. I just had an interest in maths, and I also knew that I'd really like to know about computers and how to code. So I went in knowing nothing, and I found that the amazing thing about TUD was that they were able to, teach from the ground up. It didn't matter how much knowledge you had or didn't have, because by about the third month, you're kind of caught up to everyone, and the difficulty and the pace will pick up, but you are taught the fundamentals, so you don't need to worry about going in with varying amounts of experience. And then just my time on the Grange Gorman campus was fabulous. It is new, so all the computer labs are gorgeous and they're fresh, and all the computers are brand new. And you're also really close to the city, so you're within walking distance, not to mention all the really good transport around, so you're not short of any activities to do, on top of the gyms and the sports and clubs and societies. I actually set up a club that hadn't initially been in existence yet on TD, so that's another great thing. If you look on the clubs and societies and you see something that you like that isn't there, you're actually able to go and set one up if you can get a team together. So there's really good opportunity for you to really find yourself at TU Dublin, and make loads of friends across all the degrees. You're not kind of limited to just whatever course you're doing. It's a really friendly campus and you will make friends in all years across all degrees. It's just a really inviting atmosphere to be in at Grange Gorman anyway.
Thanks very much, Sarah, and thank you all, in fact, for those answers. We might move on a little bit, and again, if anyone in the room here would like to ask any questions, please do put them up into chat. But the second question is just about your career. So I know some of you are at an earlier stage than others, but just to tell us a little bit about your career so far, and that may include, if you did work placements, you might tell us a little bit about that. And also where you think you would like to go with your career now that you've completed your degree. So Lauren, I'll go back to you if that's all right, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that.
So as part of the computing degree in TUD, in third year you get, I can't remember was it the first or the second semester for work placement. So I was lucky enough to get my first choice in Workday, which is a software HR and finance company. It was somewhere I always wanted to work because my brother-in-law worked in Workday before I had any interest in development. He was actually the one who encouraged me to go for a software development degree. So yeah, I got my work placement in Workday in 2022. And at the time, it was still kind of the tail end of the pandemic. So it was quite remote, but you could go into the office if you wanted to. Workday is a fantastic company, and TUD and Workday actually have a great affiliation as well. There's great relationships that TUD have with numerous companies for work placement, and I'm sure if you go ahead with a degree in TUD, you'll get to see the broad range of companies and avenues, and there's the possibilities are actually endless. So I was lucky enough to get offered a graduate position back with Workday. And when I graduated last year, I started back as a graduate with Workday in September last year. So I've been a software development engineer since September, and Workday have a 12-month graduate program, so that will run till September this year.
Thanks, Lauren. What is a software development engineer, Lauren?
So it will vary from job to job. I suppose your main task is to look for gaps in the market. How would you improve their existing software do you have any initiatives? What would you like to create? Do you see something that's not there that you think, oh, that might be good. I'll get a project going there. But company to company that can vary. Like there's so many aspects of software development that you can be in. Like you could be doing front end, which would be more app development and like user experience. Or in my case, I'm more back end at the minute, so I'm dealing with I'm more cloud, so AWS, GCP, using Terraform and Python and stuff like that. So, obviously, I think that's probably going to be gobbledygook for the majority of you. Um, but like Sarah said, like you really do. Like I went in with absolutely no knowledge of computers or tech or any programming languages or anything like that. But you really do learn from the foundation up. But yeah, software development engineer is a very broad term, so it will depend on the company that you go to work for.
And just a final question before I go on to Jesse and Sarah. But I know some people might think, you know, if you're working in the ICT industry or the computing industry, you're just working on your own in a dark room all the time and you never really talk to people. Is that the reality, or would that be what your workday is like?
No, that is a very broad conception of what a software development engineer is like. Like you'd see on like the programs, and it's a dark screen with green code all over the page, and it's nothing like that. Like I know a lot of the graduates went into work for different companies, and obviously I know a couple who went to Workday as well. And like everyone's experience has been phenomenally like different to what we thought working in industry would be like. It's it's um it's hard to explain. Like I've got such a great camaraderie with my team, my manager, even people you don't know in the office will say hello, and I'm like, do I know you? Like everyone is just so friendly, and the atmosphere is such a great place to work. I know I can only speak for Workday, but I have, you know, heard from other graduates as well that like their experience in the tech world has exceeded what they thought it would be. You know, because like I said, there is a conception that it's like you're on your own. It's very like, you know, solo based, but it's not. It's very broad, and there's always teams you can help out here and there as well. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lauren. And Jesse, I'll go on to you. I know you're relatively recently graduated, just a few weeks ago, but could you just tell us a little bit about maybe where you'd see yourself going with your career, or if you did work placements, if you'd have any insights from there?
Yeah. So for my third year, there wasn't work placement offered by our course specifically, but I've heard from lecturers that they're planning to bring that in at some later date, maybe in the next 2 or so years. So that's something to look interested for if you plan on joining computing at Blanchardstown. But I was able to get an internship on my own in Data Glacier, so it's a data company. So I was specifically an NLP intern, the natural language processing. So it has a lot to do with data science. Um, so I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from that internship, and it kind of geared me towards what I think I would love to do after college. So there's the great thing about the TU Dublin course, the computing course in Blanchardstown, is that it it equips you with knowledge to go into multiple different sectors. So if you want to be a consultant, there are modules that help you with consultancy. If you want to be a data scientist, the modules that help you with data science and machine learning, algorithms, even software development, software engineering, cloud computing. There's multiple different modules that help you and give you a taste of what exactly you might like to do in the future. And I noticed, especially in my final year, because there was a lot of our final year was very machine learning, AI basically orientated, that I would really love to go into industry in data science, hopefully as a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, something along those lines, because it's very interesting. It's basically those are the people that are working with ChatGPT and all these kind of stuff. So so being able to work with a company on what is seen as cutting edge technology nowadays, because when you look at a lot of IT companies, it's AI, Google's AI, Apple's AI, Microsoft is AI. IBM is AI. So AI is basically everywhere. So and the great thing about it is that this course really does the computer course at Blanchardstown really does prepare you for such a venture into such an industry, and not just that, as I said, but many different avenues.
Yeah, I might just
Thanks.
interject there for a
Right.
second, Kieran. I think I'm not too sure. Maybe Barry might have a better input of what I'm about to say, but for us in first year, it was quite a broad, at least for a semester, you kind of could get a taster of any of the streams. You could do software development, IT management. There was a couple of kind of niche streams you could pick, and you got to choose your elective then. I think it was at the end of semester one. But like that, you could, like, even if you choose software development, like Jesse said, there's so many avenues you can take out of that. Like there was networking, software development, front end development, web development. Like there's so many avenues. You're not just because the program might be called software development, it doesn't mean that's that's what that is. Like the modules are so broadly spread out for different avenues.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren, and it's such an important point, yeah, that you get an opportunity to explore lots of different areas. And Jesse, just before I go on to Sarah, I might just ask, because you seem to be particularly interested in that data science and AI sort of area. And I know you're only going into your career now, but what would a data scientist do generally? Like what kind of projects might they get involved in?
Yeah. So a lot of the time, so this would be from what I've heard and also what I've researched, because I've researched a lot into such a career. So data scientists or data analysts, uh, they work with groups, data sets. So they get data, they clean the data. So there's cleaning data is making it more readable, more understandable, basically. So you might have a huge list of raw data. You might be tasked with cleaning the data. And then there's also making insights from the data. So a lot of companies, basically every company, I think, has so much data on basically everything: customers, retails, sales, everything. And this data, this data can be used to make insight for the company for future planning. Let's say if the company wants to make an investment, you might be able to get data insight and use that insight to suggest the best course of investment, or to improve sales, or to do one thing or the other, to do one function or the other. So data scientists primarily work with data, getting insight from the data, making the data readable, and using that data to be able to make company insights.
That's brilliant. Yeah, sounds like it'd be a really interesting career path for someone. Thanks so much, Jesse. And Sarah, could you tell us a little bit about your placement, if you did placement, and then where you see your career going? Thanks.
Yeah. So I actually chose to do Erasmus with my degree. So I didn't do the work placement. I went to Germany and I studied there for 6 months. But because of the experience I got from Erasmus, I just did my exams like 2, 3 weeks ago. Before I even did my exams, I already had 2 job offers come in before I've left the university. And that was a credit to the project fair that they have on offer. You don't need to worry about it yet. It's only in your final year that you'll get to present your work, but it's an excellent chance to meet with industry and a lot of, I guess, employers and recruiters, they come into the university, you get to talk with them. And if you're anything like myself or a number of my peers, you'll even have the chance to choose what job you want to go into, which is just brilliant before you even left the university. So for myself, I had 2 offers. One was front-end development and another was a software engineer role. I chose the software engineer role, so I will be starting with Bearing Point in September. So that is a consultancy firm. So working with them means that I will be working with clients and building software for them depending on their needs. But I'm sure, as you can tell from the Erasmus and the international aspect of the course that I chose in Grange Gorman, I really like the idea of being able to travel with my degree. And the great thing about the computer science degree is that you have that opportunity. With Bearing Point, I'll be able to go back to Germany if I like after a year and live and work in one of their offices there. So that's the really great thing about computer science, is that you're not locked in to any one area, to any one location. It's really broad and you can do anything you want with it, even if it's not, extremely techy. If you want to try something a bit easier, or you're just so well equipped for kind of any discipline nearly, because you have so much experience with a variety of different areas involving computers. So yeah.
Thanks, thanks very much, Sarah. Could you tell us a little bit about, say, the difference between front-end development and software engineering, and why you made the decision that you did for the direction you wanted to go in?
Yep. So front-end development is where you'll kind of be designing the part that the user will see. So if you go onto a website or if you open your phone, the part you're looking at was developed by a front-end developer. So it's really fun, it's really creative, and it is a really good, route to go down. It is quite exciting and creative. And then software engineer is kind of what's under the hood almost. You're kind of making the functionality happen. So when you click on something, or if you're engaging with an app, you're going to be building that part as a software engineer. So personally, I find it a bit more tricky, but I quite like the difficulty that comes with it and I like learning. So that's why I ended up choosing that route. But it was really tough, and I did have a few meetings with the career guidance counselors at TU Dublin, and they were absolutely stellar. Like, they helped me so much deciding which to choose, how to be professional with declining an offer, all of that. I have to thank the TU guidance counselors for helping me. They were amazing. But yeah, the difference is kind of just more about what you're into. If you like the creative kind of design side, you might prefer the front end. If you like the kind of complicated, I guess, under the hood stuff, software engineering might be, the choice for you, in my experience anyway.
Okay, thanks a million, Sarah. And just because you mentioned it, and it brings us on to the next question, really, I might stick with you, Sarah, if that's okay. Because you traveled overseas and you did Erasmus. Can you tell us a little bit about what's involved in that?
Yeah, so Erasmus was amazing. I chose to go to Darmstadt in Germany, so it's very close to Frankfurt and some other big cities. But the great thing was being able to learn in a completely new environment under completely new standards. It was, a bit different than TU Dublin, just the way they teach over there. It was a very practically applied university as well, so I suppose it was quite similar to TU Dublin in that sense. But the modules that they were offering were different from what was on offer at TU Dublin. So if you choose to do Erasmus, you'll get a broader range of modules to choose from, which are kind of outside the TU Dublin domain. So kind of SAP, it was specific to that company. There was a module on that. There was also kind of really large group projects. So I worked on a team of 14 members to develop a billiard game. It was quite fun, but there's just quite unique modules to choose from over there. And you're also learning in a new environment with many people from many different countries as well. So you're kind of getting that aspect of working on a multicultural team, which is really exciting, because that's how it will be when you move into industry. You're going to be working with people from all over. So getting that experience through Erasmus was excellent, and I feel like it's really helped me, find my feet before graduating.
Thanks, thanks, Sarah. I'm not sure, Lauren or Jesse, if either of you did Erasmus or had an international experience.
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't do Erasmus. I know one or two. I think there was only maybe there was only a handful of students on my particular course that chose the international language aspect. So I know anyone who did do it thoroughly enjoyed their Erasmus anyway. They all had a great experience abroad learning. So
It is a great opportunity to broaden your horizons. Lauren, I might go to you for the next question. It's a relatively simple one, but what advice would you give to someone, when they're trying to make up their mind about whether to study computing or not? And then if they do come on to study computing or mathematics, what advice would you give them?
so I suppose, like, if you have a passion for it and it's something that intrigues you, then go for it. Like, you won't regret trying. And, I think I was very, very apprehensive starting something that I had no knowledge of. I hadn't, like, obviously, like, I had a phone, I had a laptop, but I'd never actually done any coding, had any knowledge of like processors or anything like that. So um, if you have an interest in it, go for it. Like, it's so worthwhile to learn the knowledge, and like like we've touched on before, you're not set to one specific route in computing. So if you go in and you decide, right, I don't really like the development aspect of it, maybe IT management might be more kind of suited to you, but the lecturers and the faculty are more than willing to engage and help and kind of get you settled in a place that will work for you. Um, I think advice wise, just give it your all. Put whatever you have into the degree. And I know 4 years sounds like a long time, but it will fly by. Each semester goes quicker than the next, and especially if you have work placement in third year, it's a nice little breakup of your studies, and you get a taste of industry. And like, I know for me, I got my graduate offer before I went back for my fourth year, so that really gave me the inspiration and the kind of get up and go to put my head down in fourth year. But yeah, I'd just go for it. If you've any form of a passion or an interest, or you're intrigued on computing, just go for it, because it's a great industry and there's so many job opportunities in a broad range of areas. So yeah, I just go for it if you've any interest at all.
Great advice, Lauren. Thanks very much. Yeah, just go for it. Exactly. Jesse, would you have any advice to people who might be considering this area, or if they do choose this area, what advice might you give them?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say is you should really keep an open mind when it comes to computing, because some people are very hesitant about picking computer science or computing as a course because, oh, I'm not very tech savvy. I'm not very I don't really know much coding or anything like that. But as Lauren has said, she didn't know so much code, but she got on board and she will hit the ground running. So I think you really do need to keep an open mind about these things. That you don't have to be the best coder, or you don't have to be like some tech wizard that knows everything off the back of their hand. Just keep an open mind, and and as you progress through the course, there are some things that are definitely challenging. There are some parts of the course that are challenging, but one thing I've learned definitely from my studies there is don't be afraid to ask questions. I think we got into this habit in first year because we're all online, where we just like all quiet and never asked anything, and it kind of stuck on into second year. But then it was like got to a point where you just there's nothing really to be nervous about or afraid of. No, no, I think it's no question is a dumb question, basically. Don't think that, oh, if I ask this question, I might look a little bit silly or whatever. You shouldn't think that way. Just ask the question, and you always have lecturers or even your fellow students to help you on your way throughout the course. And because I myself, in my fourth year, I don't even know how many people have pestered with questions constantly, because and it really did help me. And so definitely keep an open mind and always be willing to ask for help when you need help.
Yeah, such an important point, Jesse, and really well made. And I think, even thinking back to my own time in college, you learn so much from the people around you, the other students in the class, that yeah, the more you can build those friendships, build those connections, and work with other people, then far better. Yeah, great. Thanks, Jesse. And Sarah, what advice might you give people considering this area?
Yeah, so mine would be very similar to Lauren as well. Just, give it your best shot. If it's something that interests you, if you'd really love to know how to do it, then I think you have enough spark there to really enjoy the courses. But just additionally to that, I would say if there's one element that doesn't appeal to you, every semester is filled with such a wide range of modules. You're not always going to be programming. A lot of it is sometimes theory behind computers. I mean, it is kind of in the name with computer science, but I suppose I went in with the presumption that it was a lot of programming, but it's not. Like, there's a really good mix each semester of lots of different things. So even if one module is a challenge, you'll hopefully have a good diverse range of ones that are not as difficult. So you'll never be kind of doing the same thing for too long. It's always rapidly changing, and you're bound to find something you love within it. It's just way too broad, and there's just a lot to do. So it is exciting. If you have an interest there, you will enjoy it, would be my advice.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Sarah. We are joined by some of our staff here as well. So I might just ask if any of our staff want to make any comments. I know, Geraldine, you put a message into chat earlier just in relation to work placement, and that's newly introduced now into the programs in your school. Is that right?
That's great. Yeah. So from students starting this coming September, when they're in year 3, they have an option of doing work placement or Erasmus, or staying on campus to do a project, but that would be an option from this September onwards. Yeah.
And it's such an important part of all of our programs, and it's brilliant now that it is across all of our level 8 programs. That opportunity is there for students. Thanks, Geraldine. Do any of our staff have any comments they'd like to make, or anything at all to say to people listening today?
Yeah, hi, Carol. This is Brian Gillespie here from the School of Computer Science in the Grange Gorman City Campus. So I'll just make a small point about the internship, which is both the internship, which is where students go into industry for 6 months, or they go abroad on Erasmus programs. And those Erasmus programs in City Campus allow students to travel to Europe and also to Asian partners. So we have Chinese partners and Korean partners available in that exchange as well. But I'd also just point out that if students are not interested in doing either of those things, we also offer a semester in 3rd year in the university as well to take elective modules for that group. So you have at least 3 different ways you can go in year 3 at that point.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Really good point that there's a lot of control that the students have over what direction they take through their degree. And I think Lauren mentioned something about that earlier, and Barry, you might pick up on that point, that sort of flexibility students have going through.
Sure, Kieran. It's hard to speak more positively than the graduates have spoken now. But just to say that some of the structures we've put in, we try to give people a common first year and offer a bit of transferability to different specialist streams in 2nd year and even in 3rd year. So Lauren mentioned the software stream or the AI machine learning stream or the IT management stream. So within your program, you can do that as well through elective choices, through picking to go after the technology you're interested in, or machine learning or AI. The idea, computing is a much broader field, and computer science, they're much broader fields than they were 20 years ago. There's many different niches and operations, many ways for people to find their own particular thing. We're kind of aware that you need to get into it for a little while, and then you understand what you're good at compared to the rest of the people. And we kind of try to support that through, picking projects, picking electives, picking specialist streams. And there's a lot of industry interest in what people do. There's a lot of tech for good type projects that we try to link up with the local hospital and local charities as well, and do interest and user skills to help people in the outside world. And the other things we try to do as well, we have competitors going off this September to the World Skills Competition in Cloud Computing, because we have the chief expert for the global chief expert for cloud computing is one of the staff of TU Dublin. So from whatever level to whatever level, and you've talked about the support that you give students at the very start if they're unsure or if they're not able to get onto something, there's good support to if you want to go to work at world competition levels. All those possibilities are there, and many in between.
Yeah, thanks very much, Barry, for that. And there are lots of those opportunities. Geraldine, I know you do capture the flag competitions and things like that for your students in cybersecurity.
Yeah, we do. And so some of the folks tuned in today may have attended some of our events, but yeah, we run a couple of events every year, both for students in TU Dublin, and it's a multi-campus event, and also for secondary school students. They're really great fun those days. So lots of opportunities for that fun side of things as well. And it was really like reiterate what Lauren and Sarah and Jess were saying, like Hollywood depicts the computer science person as a very kind of stereotypical, not particularly communicative person, and what industry needs is just so different from that in terms of the huge variety of roles. And and the importance of engaging with your team and engaging with the customer and understanding customer needs and that, so that, you know, that side of the industry is so important, you know. It's so different from how Hollywood would like to depict us, and also how helpful. And I think that came across in the students. You come in from the beginning, and there is an awful lot of support and help for students going through the course. You just have to ask. I think that's you know, TU Dublin that's the ethos that we have in TU Dublin.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Geraldine. And Carl, I know Carl is here from our School of Mathematics and Statistics. Lots of opportunities for people with mathematics degrees, and statistics obviously very popular now as well,
Yeah.
in terms of career paths.
Yeah, well, just to make everyone aware that, you know, like the maths course doesn't consist of doing all maths. You know, you do modules on Python and SQL, and, you know, you do courses on professional development, you know, to help you get a job at the end of the day. And just like computer science, I guess we have work placement as well, where they go, and at the minute the students are in Zurich, Davy, New Ireland, CSO on paid placement at the minute, the current cohort. And then a percentage of them do go on Erasmus. They're all currently in Germany. So, you know, there is plenty of job opportunities. I mean, there's so much mentioned about data science, so there is plenty of options there for the students. So it's not just constant maths all the time. They get exposed, you know, to different industries, and I guess, you know, they're taught how to do a job interview and all the rest, you know. So that makes our maths course maybe a little bit different than maths courses outside of TU Dublin. And of course, if you go to the school website, you can all our modules and course descriptive materials is available. So I'd recommend that you check out the School of Maths and Statistics website.
Hey, thanks very much for that, Carl. We're nearing the end now, and just a question I'm always interested in. Would anyone like to tell us about their final year project? Any of Jesse or Sarah or Lauren? I always think it's so interesting to see what people do at the end of their 4-year degrees. Would any of you like to share just a little bit of information about your final year project?
Yeah, sure. So I created a web app aimed at kids that have dyspraxia. So my son has dyspraxia, which is a neurological condition that affects his fine motor skills and his sequencing and planning and stuff. And for him, he's 11, so he's grown up in the world of tech. Like he's known how to use a smartphone since he was 2. So like, you know, I think kids evolving these days need resources and need their own form of information. So I developed a website aimed at children to provide them with information on dyspraxia. There was a diary entry section where they could log their emotions and stuff like that. There was a chat bot. There was an art gallery. So like Microsoft Paint, you could go in and you could do doodles and save it to your gallery. But it was just really fun, really colorful. It was great to have 2 at-home testers as well for for continuous testing throughout the project. But I really enjoyed doing it. And I think if any of you go into this course and you're getting to your final year project, do something that you have a passion for, like something that's going to intrigue you and keep you engaged for the course of that year, because you know the reward at the end when you see the final product of just something you had an idea of it's phenomenal. It was such a good accomplishment, and to go to the project showcase at the end of the 4th year was it was really good to demonstrate it to my peers and lecturers and industry. So yeah, it was really good.
It sounds amazing, Lauren. Sarah or Jesse, would you like to tell us anything about your project?
Yeah. So my project was so I was using machine learning algorithms to try and classify skin cancer. So basically there was kind of 2 parts to my project. There was the machine learning side and the software development side. So the machine learning side, I focused on researching different algorithms. Some of these might go over here, such as CNNs, SVMs, so different types of algorithms basically to try and detect skin cancer within an image. So it would use an image to try and detect skin cancer. So what I do was I train the models. So the first part of my project was trying to compare and contrast which model architecture would be best for in terms of classifying skin cancer. And this included parts. So this included, a data science part, collecting data or finding a data set, cleaning the data set, which is the data science part, and then running it through a model, through a data pipeline, and then running it through the model, to improve model performance through the data pipeline. So it included a lot of stuff like that. And the web development side was the software development side was more so I made a website in which people can interact with the models. So let's say someone wants to send in an image of let's say a spot they have on like their arm or the forearm or something, and they want to get a classification of them, get a classification on what it might be. It will run through the model, and then the model will give them a result. And if the model thinks that it might be cancerous, there's also a hospital referral system built into the website, so it can help refer people to nearby hospitals. So I've always loved the idea of leveraging technology to help people. So this was just where my passion lied. So that's basically the main reason why I chose to pick such a project. Thanks.
That's brilliant, Jesse. Such an important project. Sarah, do you want to tell us anything about your project?
Yeah, so mine was a bit of a passion project as well. So my project aimed to help the research process for students considering Erasmus. It's quite a daunting and like long-term process to try and decide where you'd like to study. So I built a web application that compiles information from the 14 different universities that are on offer at TU Dublin. So it meant that a TU Dublin student could go onto this web application and have all the information required in one place instead of having to go to 14 different websites and investigate the countries. It was all in this concise area. And I did that through some web scraping and APIs, and also personalizing the process as well. So you could kind of fill in, what your personality was or what you were looking for, what did you want to study on Erasmus, and it would find out which city best matched your own personality traits. So it was aimed to help the process for students because it is just quite daunting, and this kind of sped up and simplified the process as like a initial starting point for students. So I tested it with second years and final year students to see what they thought, and they were all delighted with it and found it really helpful and felt that it would be a really good tool to have. So it was great fun. And it also won an award at the project fair for the best execution of a final year project. So it actually won a monetary prize on top of the job offers that I received. So I'm a big project fair advocate, guys, for your final year. Definitely show up to it. It's great fun, and you'll get the recognition you deserve. But yeah, thanks, Kieran.
Well, thanks so much, Sarah and Lauren and Jesse, for telling us all about your final year projects. And I'm so glad I asked that question because the work that you're doing is absolutely amazing, all three of you, and well done for that. I'd like to thank everyone who came along today, and thank all the attendees who came along here, and to everyone who's going to be watching this recording. Thank you all so much for that. I'd like to thank all of our staff who came along. So Linda and Dylan and Barry and Geraldine and Carl and Brian, thank you so much. And thanks in particular to our recent graduates who spoke so well about their experience and added a huge amount of information that I think is going to be of so much value to people who are considering computing and mathematics as careers. So thank you so much to Lauren and to Jesse and to Sarah. And just at the end, we get a question coming in the chat there. Linda, that's over to you, I think.
Yeah, so just how long does it take for an application to process? So I suppose the answer to that would be it depends on which program you're applying for, whether it's full-time, whether it's international or whatever. I suppose what we're looking at today is full-time undergraduate programs, and you're applying through the CAO for them. So the offers will be made through the CAO. for those, and those offers will run through the rounds, you know, a little bit later in the summer. I suppose the 29th of August is when we'll be making our offers. But if you're an international student, they're still open and you can make an application. And once you make your application, provided your documentation and you're assessed quickly, it's normally just a couple of days. Applications outside of the CAO are for international students. So any students want to come onto our full undergraduate programs, it's through the CAO. We do have one program, which is the direct application program, which Kieran had showed up there earlier on. So you can just go to the website and apply for that. That's still open at the moment, but normally you'll be assessed and offered a place. I think you need to do an interview maybe on that program as well. So it doesn't take that long. It just you just need to have all of your documentation in. Once you're assessed, then invited for interview, probably about 2 or 3 weeks, I would say, for your documentation to be assessed, etc. And then once you're interviewed, the results will be sent out. So if you need some extra advice on that and you'd like to find out more about that, you can email us admissions@tudublin.ie with specifics if you have particular questions. TU082 is a part-time program, yes. So part-time programs, we didn't present the part-time programs today, but normally once you put your application in, you should be assessed and you should hear back from us, I'd say in about 2 to 3 weeks with the result. If you haven't, Joey, I can refer you to our colleagues in lifelong learning and they can give you further detail on that.
Okay, thanks very much, Linda, for responding to that, and thank you, Joey, for the question. Thank you, everyone, for coming along today. Really appreciate it, and wishing everyone a very enjoyable summer. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Thank
Thanks, Al.
you.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Best of luck.